top talent, youngster that you think will only get better. So confident when he gets on the ball. He's got one thought: can I beat my man? Can I either create something or can I have a shot on goal? And yeah, just the confidence that he showed. And
he's a special talent, really is. To be picked for a game of this magnitude tells you everything about his qualities as a player and what he makes up for at times in the lack of size. This is him top of the picture. Now he's got one eye on Phil Foden because that's now who he's going to try and sort of latch onto. But he's also going to keep an eye on Erling Haaland because Erling Haaland is thinking, I'm going to pick on the smallest player on the pitch. I'm going to look to get to that back post. But it's that ability to know, I'm not the biggest, so I'm going to back in. And it's about using your body. And he uses his backside in this situation, allowing Haaland to run in, outstanding defending. This here now is about how quick you can close that gap between you and LewisSkelly, and then this position now where he finds himself in this little box, in this area, and it's about can you turn and face up. And what I love about this is when he turns, there's one thing on his mind: I'm going to get my shot away. Because when you see it again from the different angle, look at the options he's now got. Look at the top of the picture here. Look at this player. Give me the ball. I want the ball. I'm in a great position, and he is. Look at Trossard in a great position, wanting the ball. As he comes inside now, he's not thinking that. I'm getting my shots away. Still wants the ball. Still thinks he's the right pass. LewisSkelly's saying absolutely not. Just a great display from him. Ball upfield, poor first touch, easy option. Let's go back to the goalkeeper. That's not how he's trained to play. I'm going to beat that. I'm going to take out the press. Now I'm going to draw players in. Simple pass is this one to Odegaard if Odegaard finds this space. But such is the pressure, he can't get that pass away. But he's also going to draw out these two players. Brilliant from LewisSkelly. Everything that he did, outstanding, magnificent display. One to definitely watch for the future, I think.
Yeah. And if you're watching carefully, a subliminal message appeared on your screens for Ref Watch, which was magnificent. I'd just like to implant that in the brain ahead of 11 o'clock. I just wonder, okay, he wasn't the only youngster impressing again, was he? There was Nwaneri, who once more looked magnificent.
Oh, he's another top talent, youngster that you think will only get better. So confident when he gets on the ball. He's got one thought: can I beat my man? Can I either create something or can I have a shot on goal? And yeah, just the confidence that he showed. And I think Arsenal have been really unlucky with injuries in terms of Odegaard was injured for that period of time, then Saka was injured, and you thought, okay, this is a real opportunity for Nwaneri to come in and take that position. Then he himself got injured, and you can see that Arteta's, I suppose, looking after him. He's putting him in certain games, he's taking him out, he's playing him for 20 minutes here, having him as an impact. And because I think when Odegaard got injured, I think a lot of us thought, well, he could go into that number 10 role because he can play there, he can play out wide, he could play as a false nine if you needed him to, because he's just got that real sort of natural ability. But I think from an Arsenal perspective, it's just looking after these young players, isn't it? And even though they've got all of these injuries, not putting too much on them, but he's certainly a player that I think would just take any sort of pressure just in his stride.
Haaland impersonation.
The Haaland celebration, as it'll be forever known. 18 years old, Gianfranco, scoring his first Premier League goal in a game of such magnitude in front of the home fans against Manchester City as well. And you might remember that Erling Haaland had a little moment with him in the first game, and he said, "Who's he?" Well, that's who he is. That guy right there. What do you think of that?
Well, two mixed feelings, if I can say that. I mean, it's good in a way because it shows that type of arrogance that a young, convinced of his qualities player should have. At the same time, you think, well, he should, be a little bit more with the feet on the carpet, as they say in this country. So I don't know. I think it's, I can forgive him for this time because he's done a little bit of time, but we'll see how he can progress.
I'm not sure Jamie's forgiving him, are you?
Listen, I said about him having football arguments on the pitch, and I loved it. I didn't like this, I've got to be honest. It's because he's a young player and it's, mimicking Haaland, maybe taking the mick out of him. I know what Haaland said, as you've just said. But I think when a young player, and we all get carried away with ourselves as a young player, But I just think what Declan Rice did there, he pulled him up. He's still celebrating in the corner. It's a huge moment for Declan Rice is telling them to get back into position. And when I think about leaders in that dressing room and being a senior player, if I was at Liverpool, look at Declan Rice telling them, get back in position. Here he is here. Let's not get carried away. Look at him again now. Just keep an eye on Declan Rice. This is what senior pros should be doing in the dressing room to young players. Hey, switch on. Come on, switch on. Don't be getting carried away with the celebration or the fact, you know, the crowd and that. And for me, yes, he got a little bit carried away. We've all done it as young players, but senior players and as managing the dressing room just say, he's doing fantastic. Just calm down a little bit, and they've definitely got one there in Declan Rice.
We're going to start with Arsenal, who did fail in their efforts to sign a striker in the January transfer window. With Gabriel Jesus out for the season, it leaves just Kai Havertz as their only recognised striker. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta spoke to the media this afternoon ahead of the second leg of their EFL Cup semi-final against Newcastle tomorrow. Our reporter Gail Davis was at his news conference and joins me live now. Good to see you, Gail. Look, how did Arteta react to Arsenal's lack of business this window then?
Afternoon, Vicky. I think it's two-pronged, isn't it, for Mikel Arteta, who's probably very, very glad the window's shut so he can stop being asked almost every press conference whether he's going to bring reinforcements in. And then the other part of him was that they didn't do the business that he'd hoped they would do. He talked even before Jesus' injury that ended his season in the middle of January about the need to reinforce up front, with Saka obviously not fit till probably March, end of March. And then when that injury hit, he talked about being very short and just not having the options they want. And he said it did leave him feeling a little bit disappointed.
We had a clear intention, which is always there is a window open to explore the opportunities to improve our squad with players that can impact it. We haven't achieved it, so yeah, we are disappointed in that sense, but as well we are very aware that that we only want to bring certain kind of players, and we have to be very disciplined with that as well, and I think that we were. When you try your best and you do things with the right process and you see the people that we all share the same intentions and wills, and after you don't achieve it, okay, for sure there are things to learn from it, always are, but you have to move on, you know, and that's a piece that, okay, was important in the moment, and now we have to move on.
Well, look, Gail, the irony is they had 5 different scorers, didn't they, against Manchester City at the weekend, but did he have any alternative options to supposedly solve their problems up front?
He did say he might have to get creative, but as you say, 5 different scorers. And I've just been speaking to him about an interview that's going to run tomorrow morning, where he talks about Kai Havertz taking on that responsibility and the kind of special bond and trust that he has, and how robust he is as a player to be able to, if needed, play every game this season if he stays injury free. But when he talks about being creative, it's looking at the likes of Trossard, of Martinelli, playing in that false 9. Even Sterling, he talked about having to play him up front. And he's also got the rise of these 2 teenagers in the last few weeks. They've announced themselves, haven't they? LewisSkelly with that finish and very, very strong defensive display on the weekend against Manchester City, and Nwaneri, who scored in Girona and then scored again on the weekend. And he's talked a lot about him going forward and the position he might play in. So have a little listen about the plans for him possibly over the next few weeks and months.
We're going to have to be very flexible in the front line, and now the ones that we have on our feet, make sure that they stay fit and they keep contributing. Leo can play in that position. Raheem has played in that position. Ethan, I think, can play in that position. Martinelli can play there. So let's see in relation to how everybody is, moment, opponent. But at some point, I think we're going to have to try something different. We have to do so much in the last few years that where we are. So we're going to have to evolve there as well, and have more players from the academy, and the ones that are here to be fitter longer. That's a job that is permanent, and it keeps evolving.
Well, Gail, it won't have passed him by, will it, that they'll have to overturn a 2-goal deficit to reach the EFL Cup final. How important does tomorrow's game feel in the context of their season, do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes these semi-finals are within the space of a fortnight, and if Arsenal had played Newcastle in that second leg, it might have felt very, very different. But off the back of a hugely impressive display, the last 20 minutes when they just tore Manchester City apart, there is that sense of that emotion and the belief and the confidence that simply wasn't here, the day after that Newcastle game. And you heard Declan Rice, didn't you, on the weekend, talking about the fire that burns inside, and that's where they got that performance against City from, having not done themselves justice earlier on in the season. And you wonder, with these Arsenal players, it's probably one of their poorest performances. It's about galvanising what they did on the weekend, and the whole context of their season could change because a Wembley final awaits, and then that belief that seeps through, who knows where this title race will take us.
When you compare the emotional state of the team straight after the defeat and the manner that it happened and how we are today is very different. Because we come from very strong performances, some great wins, and especially the last one at home against Man City. So it builds momentum, and after that game as well, we have a break. So it's the moment to go, full gas, ready to go for it and try to approach it in the way that we believe is the best one to be in that final. We know how big that is, and you can feel it. You can feel it straight away. The push that the game gave us, winning against City, the manner that we did it, and the fact that it's a game that is the closest competition we are into a final. So we're going to give it a real go.
Well, sport, as we know, is so much about confidence, but maybe even more importantly, it is about timing. It has been billed this week as a really crucial week in Arsenal's season. They've got that sunshine break to Dubai to look forward to, and they hope they can travel there knowing that they are into a league.
Arsenal's mockery of Manchester City, and more specifically Erling Haaland, in Sunday's 5-1 Premier League win was fair game, former Gunners midfielder Ray Parlour has insisted. City talisman Haaland was at the centre of the pre-match build-up following his controversial antics in September's 2-2 draw, where John Stones rescued a point for Pep Guardiola's side right at the death. The 24-year-old firstly threw the ball at Gabriel Magalhaes' head as he celebrated his side's late leveller, before insulting Miles LewisSkelly and telling Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta to stay humble. However, Haaland was the one humbled at the Emirates, where LewisSkelly mimicked his celebration after finding the back of the net. Gabriel celebrated Martin Odegaard's winner in his face, and humbled by Kendrick Lamar was boomed out of the PA system at full time. Speaking to Sports Mole, Parlour insisted that such jibes were part and parcel of fierce Premier League rivalries, saying we had rivalries in our day, especially with Manchester United. And it's key to always get one over your nearest rival. It is fair game, the media bring a lot of this up. It's an emotional game and things happen. Haaland threw the ball on the back of Gabriel's head in the first game, and then you overhear stay humble from him. Haaland briefly had his moment in the limelight for the right reasons at the Emirates, levelling the scores early in the second half with a record-breaking 250th club goal at the tender age of 24. However, a deflected Thomas Partey strike restored Arsenal's slender lead just a couple of minutes later, before further efforts from LewisSkelly, Kai Havertz and 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri propelled the Gunners to one of the most memorable wins of the Arteta era so far. Formerly a perennial nemesis of Arsenal's, Man City won 15 of their 16 head-to-heads between November 2017 and April 2023, only suffering one defeat in the semi-finals of the 2019-20 FA Cup, which the Gunners went on to win. Arteta's men have now strung together a 5-game unbeaten run against the Premier League champions, though, and Parlour was delighted to see the Gunners' hunger to humiliate their opponents further on Sunday. For Arsenal, two youngsters getting on the scoresheet made it even sweeter for the crowd, and then Havertz getting his goal, Parlour added. Arsenal wanted to put in a big performance and they deserved the win on Sunday. Arsenal have taken a few losses away at Man City and also had home over recent years under Pep, and for Arsenal to show the hunger to keep being on the front foot in the second half and look to score more goals was great. City in the second half were not at their best defensively. Arsenal got a bit of luck with Partey's second goal, and after that, 3 very good goals, but from City's perspective, they would have looked to have done better defensively. Parlour's sentiment on Arsenal's celebrations was echoed by a Gunners expert, who claimed that Sunday's match was an example of a proper game in a world where football has become too nice and icy. Despite their emphatic beating of the holders, Arsenal are still rank outsiders for the Premier League title, given that Liverpool hold a 6-point advantage at the top of the rankings with a game in hand, which will be played on February 12 away to Merseyside rivals Everton.